So you want to try butt stuff. Today I'm wanting to try butt stuff. So we've got Max Hovey in to help us out. Hello Max, thank you for joining us.
Hello, my lovely. It seems that all we do now is podcasts. I swear
I
every
love
time I speak
it.
to you, it's on a podcast.
I absolutely love it. Before we get to know you, can you tell us what turns you on?
Oh, there's a lot. There's a long list. But given the topic that we're
Mm-hmm.
talking about, I feel like it's a lot of people that are already into butt stuff will kind of get this. When like you go into like eating arse, you want it to like unless you're into scat, which I'm not, you want it to be clean, but you don't
Mm-hmm.
want it to smell like soap.
Yes.
Like there's like a certain like musk that is like
Mm.
very distinctive.
Yes.
Yeah, like
Yes.
it's not like unclean, and it there's like very specific, like it's very different to like armpit musk. It's just a certain, and
Yes.
it's wild. It just gets me going.
I know exactly what you're talking about. And I feel like not many other people have the same turn on, but like the smell of the skin, a little bit of sweat, like
It
that,
just
you know the
oh
smell.
yeah, it's like it's so distinctive and so hard to describe because it doesn't smell like how you would expect it to smell.
Yeah,
And like
I get you.
I don't want to like go in there and it smelled like Dove. Like
Yeah,
I
I
want
feel that.
clean, but I want natural. So
Yes, there's like an
that's my main one.
animalistic element to it,
Yeah.
I guess. Just like,
Oh,
I feel
it's
you.
so good.
Okay.
Chef's kiss. Chef's
Well,
kiss.
chef's kiss. Max, who are you? What do you do? We are talking about butt stuff today, so please let us know what expert we have on today.
My favorite topic. My favorite topic. So my name is Max Hovey. I am a queer content creator, and I specialize in sex education for queer people, which naturally does include a lot of butt stuff. I also do a lot on body image for queer people because body image issues are very prevalent within my community. I also talk about mental health. I also run my own business and sell mental health journals. I'm also writing a book for queer people.
Ooh,
And I'm also a sex worker, so I also have an OnlyFans. So a lot of stuff. I'm
yay!
very busy.
Very busy, fingers in many pies.
mm, yeah,
Mm,
physically and metaphorically.
yes, many fingers in many pies. So today we are talking about butt stuff. The title of this podcast is So You Want to Try. So we've got you on, the expert. I've listened to you talk about butt stuff before, and I learned so much, even being a sex educator myself. So we're going to go straight into it, and let's just describe to someone who has no idea what to do with the bum, or if there's anything that you can do with the bum. What is butt stuff? What's the spectrum? Let's just get into it.
So, firstly, like the reason we chose the title butt stuff, because originally when we spoke about it, we said specifically about anal. And
Yes.
I feel like that is like almost like one of the last steps. There is
Yeah.
so much you can do to stimulate and enjoy the butt. Like it's still taboo, but it's not as taboo as it was. You can use your hands, you can finger, you can spank, you can rim, which is eating arse. Obviously there's anal, there is also fisting. There is so much stuff you can do, and I feel like a lot of people don't even know like where to start.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's like the rundown, is that it's butt stuff is includes so many stuff, toys, like
Yes, exactly. And I think what you said there is how we were like, oh, let's talk about anal. But anal is like right at the end. It's like the pinnacle, obviously not, doesn't have to be the most important or prioritized, but it is like one of the things that you probably should try other stuff before having a
yeah,
go at anal. And also you're missing out on all the other pleasure and ways to enjoy the ass by just
yeah.
heading straight to penetration every time. So you mentioned spanking, you mentioned rimming, eating ass. What would you say is like the gateway drug to anal, the gateway activity to start? How would you think you would have started exploring the bum?
Do you mean like what I would recommend starting with, or what I personally wanted
Both.
to do? Okay. I mean, Christ, in terms of what I'd recommend, I think naturally using your hands is probably the least scary one
Yeah.
because, if you're not used to butt stuff and you're not used to, how you prepare, how you clean, you don't know how your body works, then naturally you're going to be a bit more skeptical using your mouth. Also because if the person it doesn't know how to prepare properly and they haven't, there's a risk of accidents and also a risk of like bacteria, which can make you ill. So I definitely say starting with hands. But for me, like from the second like I started getting erections, I was like, I want butt. I want it. I don't know why.
ass.
It was like so young that was just like what I wanted. And for
Yeah.
me, it was about like eating ass, and it
Yeah.
was just I don't know why. I would love to know. There's so much psychology behind what
Yeah.
we enjoy in our desires. But for me, that was just like what I wanted to start with. Because this is like stuck in my brain. When I was first like enjoying porn, I started off with straight porn because I was like, that's what I
Mm-hmm.
have to enjoy. And I started looking at like a guy eating a girl's ass, and I was like, this is really hot. I really like this. And then I don't know where it happened, but I suddenly switched to a guy eating a guy's ass, and I was like, oh, that's what I want. There it
That's it.
is.
There's the spot. Yeah.
But I think that was like when I first started like watching gay porn, was I literally switched from like a guy eating a girl's ass to like a guy eating a guy's ass. I was like, oh, I like men.
Yeah. Yeah. When it's a
um,
guy doing it to a guy, that's, yeah, amazing.
yeah.
Ass eating is so underrated and people are so scared of it. And I think, I mean, I was too, just because of the like the myths and misconceptions surrounding it and stuff like that. Can you maybe touch on a couple myths and misconceptions we have around butt stuff, dirtiness, sexuality? Because I think that's also one of the things that very sillily stops people from exploring this part of their body.
Yeah, so I mean, I'll start with sexuality. Enjoying your butt being played with as a male, it doesn't make you gay. Like
Yeah.
that's not how sexuality works. Sexuality isn't what part of your own body brings you pleasure. It's about what you're attracted to.
Yeah.
So, you can enjoy being fucked in the ass, but it's not about a man doing it. You can enjoy being
Yeah.
pegged by a woman. So you enjoy the feeling and the sensation, but you can still be fully heterosexual. If you derive pleasure specifically from a man doing it, that is because you are attracted to a man doing it. That is very different.
Yes.
And I vividly remember in the Netflix series Sex Education, in their final series, they actually touched on it. They touched on finger in the bum with a straight guy. I remember I went to the screening and they said like, I think it was the fourth and final season. They said every single season we have been trying to figure out how we can put finger in the bum into an episode. Like how can we
Yes.
do that? Because it's so taboo. And it was basically one of the leading characters. I can't remember his name, but he was with a girl and
Was it Jackson?
yes, Jackson.
Jackson, yeah.
And she put her finger in his bum, and he came like that. And yeah, he came instantly, and then he really battled with it. They touched on consent as well because she didn't ask, and then they spoke about it
Yeah.
afterwards and made sure that she was being consensual with it. But he was really worried that he was like, well, does that make me gay? Because I
Yeah, I
really
remember
liked
that.
it.
He went into like a panic about his questioning his sexuality, and everyone, I think Otis had to like calm him down and be like, listen, unless you really are and you do want to explore that. But he was like almost convincing himself, like, maybe I am gay. And it's like sex acts do not define your sexuality. Only you can do that.
Absolutely
And
not.
it's just so silly because the prostate is where it's at. And if you're a man and you've got one,
Yeah.
and I'm sure you can explain a little bit more about the prostate.
So the prostate is about 2 inches inside the rectum, so it's very easy to reach with a finger. It's probably down to the second knuckle.
Oh my God, that's
Um,
how I also explain it. I also go
Really?
like second knuckle.
Yeah, like that's it, it's so easy. Like you can I can reach it myself. Like it's so easy when you know where
Literally,
it
yeah.
is. And it's on the side of where your genitals are. So if you're lying on your front, you do this motion to make sure you can get it. And the prostate is basically what. It's really hard to explain because my biology is not great. I know how it works, but I don't know any of the terms.
Yeah.
It's basically the part of the body that causes an erection, not an erection, an orgasm. So you can stimulate an orgasm purely by stimulating the prostate.
Yeah.
It's very sensitive and it feels insane. It's wild. And it can be stimulated from the inside and the outside. So you can actually stimulate the prostate without like actually touching the butt.
Tell us
which is
how.
so it's the part known as the taint, which is like the piece of skin that is basically between the balls and the arsehole. Like
Yeah.
that bit there is actually really sensitive. So, by gently massaging it with your fingers, or even if you're eating arse and you kind of massage it with your tongue and like kiss that bit, very, very sensitive. And it's not a part of the body that should be neglected at all.
At all. Yeah. I
Yeah.
fully agree. I feel I am jealous of men who have prostates and just men who have prostates, people who have prostates. Like, because I have seen firsthand the pleasure. You don't even have to touch the penis at all. Like, the penis will stay hard. You can still ejaculate. The orgasm still happens. And it's just like, from what I've heard, like a completely different sensation, a completely different experience, and so much more intense. Whereas I think someone described it as like more prolonged versus like sometimes just from a hand job or like when you ejaculate through like penis stimulation. That's like really quick. And
Yeah.
they were just like, that was so long. That's like the longest orgasm I've ever had. So if you're a man,
I believe
have a
like
go.
yeah, no, 100%. I think like normal ejaculation for prostate owners is like they're like 8 to 15 seconds, but if you're having a specific prostate orgasm, it is known as being quite a bit longer and also
Yeah.
more of like a full body experience. I unfortunately haven't experienced one, but that's because I'm on antidepressants, and so just having any form of orgasm is it's
Yeah,
like climbing a
exactly.
mountain. But I have recently discovered that my prostate is like really, really fucking sensitive, because when you stimulate the prostate, it is also very close to the bladder.
Yeah.
So it can also stimulate as well. And I basically, if I'm bottoming, I pee almost every time. I was really scared of it at first. I was like, well, I don't want to do that. Now I have a waterproof blanket, so I'm fine.
Yes.
But I was really scared of it because I was like, why is this happening? And I remember the first time a guy was fucking me and I literally got, I asked him to stop because I was like, I'm going to pee.
Yeah.
And he was like, well, I don't mind if you do. And I was like,
Go on.
okay, I appreciate it, but I don't feel comfortable.
Yeah.
But then did it myself and I was like, wait, that actually feels fucking insane. Like
Yeah.
the whole it's not like a prostate orgasm, but it's like it's where the prostate has been like so stimulated
Yeah.
that your
Like
your
the
rectum
contractions.
yeah, it's like the full contraction. So if you're doing it yourself and playing with a toy, it will feel like your like rectum is contracting and will try and push the toy out. And if
Yeah.
you like push through that and keep going, oh my fucking god. Like it's wild. It's
It is
wild. And
wild.
there is so
I am
much you
so
can do.
jealous. There's so much you can do, and people are missing out. So, Max, we are getting people into butt stuff in this episode. If you
Yeah.
don't believe us, just for shits and gigs, go and have a go, because life is too short to be missing out on parts of your body. And like you said about like peeing yourself during sex, I've also had those moments like with squirting or with like when it feels really intense, and because also the blood is always, it's always nearby, it's always connected, and you feel like you're holding that in. And it's just like if you were just to release that and like just worry about your own pleasure, that release plus also the ridding of shame feels so fucking good.
For me, it's like it's a mixture because because obviously if a guy pees for his bottom, that is the male equivalent of squirting, basically. But for me, like not only does it feel insane, but it also because I'm versatile, but I'm very much bottom submissive. Like I'll top once in a blue moon, and the kind of if I'm being fucked really well and I like pee, it plays into that like submissive loss of control.
Yes.
And the fact that
Yes.
you stop holding back and it just happens and it just like it's
Yeah.
like even that feels like a whole body experience. And when you learn
Yeah.
to kind of let go of shame, and I get, you don't want there to be mess and loads of cleanup. I get that, which is why I'm so happy that I now have a waterproof blanket, because I literally like even if I'm playing with myself, I will pee so much. And
I need to get one.
It's so good. I'll
A
lift the
splash
blanket up.
blanket, yeah.
Yeah, and the bed is like bone dry. There is nothing on it. It's all in the blanket and you chuck it in the washing machine. It's amazing. So for someone like me who like has basically become a bit of a squirter when I bottom, absolute game changer.
Game changer. No, I love that. Okay, so let's get into the nitty gritty. We're gonna keep going on tangents, I can tell, because we
Yeah,
get too
we
excited
always
on
do.
everything. But I need to pretend that I don't know anything. Okay, so please, father, mother, teach me how to touch my asshole. What should I know? How should I prepare? What should I expect?
Okay, so first and foremost, it is about preparation. Like I'm just gonna obviously I know that there are people who are into scat play, absolutely fine, but I'm gonna assume when having this conversation that we're not purely because from a hygiene perspective, it is really important to make sure that you don't have any bacteria that can make you ill.
Yes.
I actually, well, I'm gonna lay this down first. I actually ended up having it's known as Giardia, which is in intestinal parasite which you can get from butt play. I had that. I was quite young. I'm pretty sure I was like 16, 17, and I didn't know what it was. I was off school for
Yeah.
like 3 weeks,
That is
and
the first time I'm hearing of it.
I was like vomiting and like had diarrhea for like 3 weeks. I had loads of time off school. So I originally thought it was just like a bug and it was going to go and it didn't. So I ended up having to take a stool sample to the doctors. And then I got the diagnosis, oh, it's Giardia. And I was like, oh, how the fuck did I get that? And I sincerely hope my mum didn't read it, but she may have done. But it basically said, oh, here's how you can get it. You can actually, just get it from, like, if you have pets, like, they can carry it. So I was like, oh, we've got a dog, like, it must be from there. But it also said, like, butt stuff
Yeah.
was also on there. So I
It
obviously
was the dog, Mum.
yeah, I was like, we've got a dog. Like, he runs around in the field. Like, I must have got it from that. I was like, no, because I literally, like, probably 2 days before I ended up being ill, I was eating someone's ass. So, and
Yes.
like they seemed clean, but obviously they maybe they weren't because that hasn't happened to me since.
Yeah.
But that can happen if you don't clean properly. So that obviously naturally means like when you shower, please wash your butt. Like, don't
Please.
ever just kind of get someone to just eat your ass if you've not done any form of prep, because again, no matter how hard like we wipe, there can still be stuff there and it just doesn't make for a very nice experience. So even if you wipe well with toilet paper, still give it a wash because there can be bits of toilet paper stuck,
Yes.
which again you don't really want. And if it comes to specifically rimming, eating ass, you don't actually need to douche. That's not a necessity. You can, just have like a thorough wash of the outside area, and without using like soap, because you don't want to put soap in your butt. You're not meant to do that. Maybe just get it wet and then kind of stick it up to the second knuckle, give it a swirl around, and maybe do that a couple of times till it comes out clear. Because, unless you've got a lizard tongue, you're not going to be going in that deep.
Yeah.
So you can give it like and ensuring they don't have diarrhea at the same time, make sure like they've already told you that their tummy's kind of okay.
Yes.
That way that you can, very much still enjoy eating arse without the rigmarole of the next step, which is what to do if you are going in for hands or anal, is douching. Now, this is anyone who enjoys butt play. This is the least fun experience. It basically involves taking what is known as an anal douche or an enema or like a bulb. So it looks like an upside down bulb with like a nozzle on the end. You fill it with lukewarm water, lubricate the nozzle and then lubricate the hole, insert it and let out some of the water, not all of it, and then holding it in for maybe 30 seconds to a minute and then releasing it and repeating that process till the water runs clear, because that's ensuring that everything that is within the rectum, which is basically about from the arsehole to the end of the rectum is between 6 and 7 inches. And that's just the tunnel that stuff passes through. Nothing should be stored there. That's just ensuring that area is clean and ready to go. The reason I said don't release all of the water is because then you risk over douching, which is horrible. And I have ended up being on the toilet for like 2 hours before because I've over douched, and then it's just floodgates. Yes. And that basically means at the end of the rectum, you have what the entrance, which is no like slang, like the second hole, which if a guy reaches with their dick feels very, very nice, is actually the entrance to the sigmoid colon. Now that is where feces is stored until it is ready to be defecated. Yes. So unless someone has a very big willy, they're not going to be hitting that. So no need to over douche, because that then brings all the stuff down that ordinarily wouldn't have been touched. But if you are going to be bottoming for someone who is very well endowed, then you don't have to, but you are welcome to then douche a bit more to bring some more stuff down. So there is no collision, let's say, with anything else. And that's like the main prepping advice. I think I've covered it.
Yeah, I think you have. How long would someone like expect to douche for? Because I think when I first heard of douching as an idea, I was like, oh, it's probably just like a couple pumps and then you're ready to go. But you've said obviously one, you're looking for clear water. So it's no dirty, no murky, clear water. And then what is the expected time? So no one thinks they're doing it wrong because in like 2 minutes, they don't have clear water.
Okay, so again, it fully depends on your body. Some people are just really lucky and their bowels actually work properly, which is, I don't know how. Like, I really wish that could be me, but it isn't. You know, douching for some people, it can be 2 minutes. It can be the fact that their like feces is so like solid and like just doesn't leave any residue, that even with one douche nothing else comes out, because like some people are just ready to go, which is wild to me. But that is actually quite rare, and for a lot of people, you know, prepping is something that you can do. I try to avoid the word recommended because you don't have to, of course you don't. But if you want to ensure that you're clean, then it's one of the best ways to do it. For me, it could take anything between 15 minutes and half an hour. But that's just because I have a bit of a sensitive stomach. So, and that would involve, you know, not douching into the second hole, because it's quite rare that I do that. Especially now that I actually know about that. Whereas it used to be like with my ex, anytime it was going to have sex, it's like, right, I'll see you in 2 hours.
2 hours. Honestly, yeah, that's really helpful though, because it's like you can know your body and know your normal, because obviously you might say you're 15 minutes and someone else who has a perfect stool and a perfect working stomach and all of that can be done in 2 minutes. And again, that doesn't mean that there's something wrong with them or there's something wrong with you taking 15 minutes, you know?
No, exactly.
Alrighty.
And the other main thing as well is even when you believe you finished prepping and the water is clear, you need to wait at least half an hour before you engage in anything. Because there is more than likely still going to be some water left, or almost like a slightly like creamy film, which actually does look a bit like cum, which is like the very like the lining bacteria coming out, which, like, for me, that's kind of how I test. Like, if I go to the toilet and just that comes out, I'm like, cool, I'm good to go. If I go to the toilet and other stuff comes out, I'm like, obviously I'm not.
Not yet.
But you don't want to risk any water coming back out afterwards. And another way you can test that, and which I've started doing now, is when the water has started running clear, I'll go straight in the shower and like use a toy, just because that then kind of simulates if there is any water, just to get it out, and it will also let you know if you are ready to go.
Yes, that is a great tip.
It really quickens the process, because sometimes the water will go up and you can't get it back out, and it will sit there for like half an hour to 45 minutes. And then when it comes back out, it's bringing stuff with it. Whereas you could skip that step completely. So a little toy
in the shower stimulates, gets whatever's moving out, or to see if you're actually not ready yet. I love that. That's great. So that's prepping 101. We've got that out the way. So we know that now if you're wanting to go into like full penetration, or if you want to be like extra safe, you can go into douching. Not completely necessary for rimming though, because that is just outside play. Can we talk about rimming for a bit? What was your first experience with rimming like? How did you learn about it? And what are your top tips now, being quite well versed?
So perfect timing for this question as well, because I literally just did a reel about how to eat arse, and I did like a full 1.5-minute video. So my first experience, I don't know. I've eaten many an arse in my time, so I can't remember specifically, but
they're all blurring into one.
They really are, just one big giant arse. Max and the Giant Peach. And
I'm gonna call this episode that.
Yeah, actually, sure, that's really cool. I just made that up. So I'd say my main tips. Because there's so much. There is genuinely so much. Like when I did the video talking about how to eat arse, I had to cover so much, because
let's get into it.
Yeah,
we all need to know.
Yeah, so many people think that when it comes to eating arse, it is literally just about the hole and just about the tongue. And I have had people in the past who have eaten my arse, and they've been very much... The way that I described it in this reel was, when you're eating arse, don't act like you're trying to pierce the film of a ready meal with your tongue. Yes. You're not just poking it, because that, like... do that like a bit and mix up the sensation, because that can feel good. But if you do that over and over again, like that, for me, is boring and doesn't feel great.
Yeah.
The way I describe it is like you're trying to lick an ice cream and you're trying to get every last bit.
Yes.
Like, it's not just about the hole. You're going to build up to it. It's a very large area. You can massage the cheeks, kiss the cheeks, bite the cheeks, play with the lower back, play with the inner thigh, like really
Yes.
stimulate that whole area because it can, when you're having your arse eaten, like it literally feels like a whole body massage. Like it is wild. So really like play with the whole area. You can like kiss and lick up and down their back. And then obviously the taint, we're not ignoring that part.
No, we're
Obviously,
not.
if they're a prostate owner, and once you actually get into eating the arse, like it's all about mixing up how you do it. So
Yes.
for me, one of the best sensations is when a guy is basically like making out with the hole. Like it's a lot of like kissing and licking and like mixing up the sensations. You can play with the speed of the tongue, the direction of the tongue, the different pressures you're doing it with. Because I've had a couple of guys that I've slept with recently who have like been really teasing because the hole actually has a lot of sensitive nerve endings
Yes.
and it can feel really good if you are just very very lightly like brushing it with your tongue and then out of nowhere you kind of just bury your
You
face in there
go
because it
for
like
it. Yeah.
yeah, and I've had guys do that recently and it's the same with having sex and penetrative sex
Yeah.
where you don't want the same just going in the whole time. Like you want to mix it up because it really keeps you on your toes.
Yeah.
So there, I'm trying to think if there's anything else because I've got might even have to get my document up.
What is like the position? What is like the prime position to be in? Are you
So
flat on your tummy, on your
see,
knees?
I'm a little bit of a slut, so I always like just having like being face down, butt in the air. Like
Yeah.
anytime anything is happening,
I'm with
like
you.
I just like having my face buried in a pillow. I don't know what it is. I just you can't beat it. So
Yeah.
that's always one is doggy. That's one that's always a bit of an easy no brainer. Another one is I think it's called spread eagle, which is basically missionary. So your
Yes.
legs are back, and then the person can like access the hole from there, which then gives
Yeah.
the person access to like your genitals and your front and to like come
Yeah.
up and kiss you. For me, as a giver, I find that quite difficult because it's very low down. But that's
Yeah.
why it's good to maybe put proper pillow underneath. Or even one that can be really good is so if they're on their back, is that you can like lift their butt up so that they're like basically resting on their
Yes.
shoulders with their arse in the air and their legs, and then you can really get into it and you can have a lot of eye contact. And I feel like when you're having your arse eaten and you can like hear what's happening, you can feel it, you can see their face, like they're looking
Yes.
into your eyes and they're closing their eyes, like you can hear them moaning better, like it makes it a more intimate experience. And another one, which is when you mentioned about turn-ons, I completely forgot about this because this has been like something that I've enjoyed for so long, is when they're sitting on your face. Oh my, like for
Yes.
me, it's not just they're sat on my face so I can eat their ass. Like the fact that they can cover your entire face and there's like
Yeah.
breath play comes into it and they're kind of like, they can be sat there like for solid 10, 15 seconds and all you have is their butt. Like
Yes.
that's all you can think about. And it's wild. And it also, that can then go into power play a bit where the person that's
Yes.
being eaten isn't just like lying there and taking it. They're in control. And I
Yes.
found that a lot of guys, when they're topping, they actually quite like that. They like having their
Yeah.
face ridden. And the fact that, I'm in control. Like, you will come up for air when I let you.
Yeah.
So that's like another way
Amazing.
of playing into it. They're the main ones, really. I mean, always welcome to try new positions.
Yeah.
But they're all of like the main ones. But yeah, my personal favourite if I'm eating arse is when they're sat on my face. Just
Yeah.
and then if I'm being eaten is when I'm like if I'm on my front in any way, shape, or form, and they're just because
Yeah.
when they're like that, that's the best way to like play with the cheeks.
Yes. No, I guess it's like what you're also going for. Like you said, is it power play? Is it dominance? Do you want to be like fully immersed in the experience, like your senses are all blocked out, or is it breath play, or do you feel kinkier in one position? Like I know for me, like my ass up and my chest down, that feels so kinky and so naughty to me compared to like all these other ones. So there's like that added element. So I guess
Yep.
obviously you can eat ass in many different positions all over the house, wherever you please. But it comes down to like, one, how do you enjoy receiving it or giving it? And then like, what else are you kind of looking for? I guess. Yeah. And when you said lying, like missionary, I guess that's a good way to, if you are introducing it, you can also still have your penis stimulated and then they're playing with the taint with the other hand. So it becomes like a nice blended, because then it's less scary, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
Would you go into playing with the penis at the same time?
I mean, it can feel so good if they do that. Like that's like kind of a if I'm in a topping headspace, but you don't have to eat ass to you don't have to be a top to eat ass. Like that's another myth is that there's a very structured thing when it comes to this stuff. Like you can mix
Yes.
between the two. For me, like I really like it if I'm eating a guy's ass and then I'm playing with the dick at the same time, or I've put a finger in and I'm stimulating their prostate and I'm giving them a blowjob at the same
Yes.
time. Like it's basically just stimulating all of their senses. Like that's the beauty of like introducing butt play is that you unlock like a whole other world of sensations and it adds
Yeah.
so much more to what you can do. So that's definitely something you can do. Yeah, if you want to, you can eat their ass and play with the dick at the same time. Like it's especially because like if you're stimulating the prostate as well, like it's wild. It is wild.
It's,
like I
you
tend to
level up a
have
blowjob if you just stick the finger in and you don't even have
oh
to
god,
move
yeah.
it. You don't even have to move your finger
No.
and it is enough.
Well, especially because the prostate itself, when you're turned on, like it can pulsate, like you can feel it, especially if they're coming, like you can feel it because it's pulsating to like
Yeah.
get the cum to come out. But I have quite a lot of threesomes with couples. It's one of my favorite things where I'm like the bottom, and there's a couple I know very close to me actually, and they will both come around the top, and normally because I'm the submissive one, like my dick isn't really touched, which I'm fine with. Like it doesn't really faze me because I struggle to come anyway, so it's more like I'm here for you to just do what you want.
Yeah.
But the other day one of them was like topping me, like he was fucking me and I was on all fours, and at the same time the other one was playing with my dick, and I cannot remember the last time I came, and I didn't, but I was so close. Like it was unbelievable because obviously not only was I being fucked, which is a great feeling, my prostate was being stimulated, and this guy, his hands were like magic. I have never felt anything like it, and
Yeah.
it was just playing with both at the same time. I was like, oh, I like this. Please don't
A
stop.
whole new world. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Amazing. Okay. So we've kind of covered rimming, which is
Yep.
playing. You've given us tips about how we need to mix it up, which is quite, it's the tips we want to be giving everyone all the time, because when it gets monotonous, everyone kind of gets a bit bored, unless like you're working up to orgasm and that specific movement is what that person needs. Otherwise, like surprise us, keep us enthralled, keep us, be enthusiastic and keep playing with new things. Tease, absolutely. Like as again with everything else, as with the pussy, just tease, like light touch, light play, and then go wild. But I need to ask you, because I am the giver sometimes for fingering the bumhole, and I would like some tips, please.
Okay. So first of all, I mean, because I haven't spoken much about anal itself. Is lube is essential. It really is. Like you cannot. It's very rare. Very very like spit is never an adequate substitute. Like it will never be as good as lube. Sometimes if you're in the moment, like I've with an ex before, like we actually got to a point where we wouldn't use it just because it worked for our bodies. And it was, the fact that it was very like animal and there was no products involved was lovely. But 9 times out of 10, that's not really doable. For the person receiving and the person giving, I actually topped a guy recently where we didn't have any lube and he was like, I'm fine, like this feels great.
Yeah.
I actually ended up with like a very like sore red bit on my dick because it was the friction, which he was fine and I wasn't, which is wild.
I've also had that with penetrators that I'm like, I don't need the lube, but then they're like, it would be great if we could all just wetter is better. So
Yeah,
if you're a
it is.
beginner
Wetter is
listening
better.
to this, use lube, and then you
Wetter.
can find out if you don't need it.
Yeah, wetter is 100% better. So that's the main one when it comes to fingering, and then it is just about easing into it. So if you are doing the traditional structure whereby you've eaten first, that can be really good because that will kind of relax the area and naturally moisten the area. But if you are just going straight to finger and avoiding that, please be gentle. especially if they're a beginner. Like it's built very, very differently, where the sphincter is actually 4 times tighter than it technically needs to be
Yeah.
to hold things in. So it's very, very tight, especially if they're a beginner. Like I'm a pro now. Like you can basically train your sphincter
Yeah.
because it's a muscle, and I now can take things like a champ. Like sometimes I don't
Sphincter
even.
Pro. Yeah.
Actually, I am a sphincter pro. Sometimes I don't even need like fingering first. Like a guy can go straight in, and it's just. But
Yes.
if you're not a pro and you haven't done it before, you need to ease into it. Like you cannot just like go straight in with 2 fingers, or go in straight with
No.
like the one of the thickest fingers or the thumb, or do that and then shove another one straight in. Like you really need to ease into it. And it also depends not what the purpose of the fingering is, because obviously it's pleasure, but what, like for me, if I'm being fingered, I don't really care about having, loads of fingers in there. For me,
Yes.
it's
Yeah.
more about having the prostate stimulated. If I'm being fucked, I'm very happy to be fucked by someone quite thick. So it's about communicating with that person. They may not feel the need to have multiple fingers in there. They may just be
Yes.
happy with one finger that is just playing with the prostate. Or that person may want to build up to their biggest turn on, maybe, especially if they don't have a prostate, is the fact that it's the stretching sensation. So yeah, it's just about very much easing into it. You may need to re-lubricate, especially if you're putting another finger in, and communicating. 100%
Yes.
communicate and check in. Make sure that they're okay. Don't just do things. I think when I was on another podcast, we actually spoke about this exact topic, and of how they said that their partner just went straight in with another finger, and it's like you can still very, like, consent is sexy. Like
It
when
is
you're going
sexy,
like,
yeah.
does that feel good? Can I add another one? I was talking to a guy the other day, and before I said it, I did a pronoun check, because I wasn't going to go good boy when
There we go.
I
Yeah.
was like, I tried, don't want to kill the mood, but are you they them, he him? It was like he him. Why? And I was like, because I was going to call you good boy, but I didn't want to fuck it up.
Yeah.
So it's like,
I love that.
it's can actually, it doesn't have, people I think get so worried about,
Yeah.
asking a question that it's going to ruin it. But if anything, it makes it hotter, because it shows that you
It
care,
does.
and it makes it normal and human. That
Yeah.
it's not like porn where you just kind of do stuff and no one is talking at all. Sex involves talking.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah. And you
ask,
can make
check
it
in.
sexy as well. And you can ask them, like you said, what pronouns do you prefer? What do you want to be called? How would you, or body language, or do you want to just give me a nod instead of like actually, because for some people it is, because of their conditioning, going to kill the mood. So they'd prefer to just like nod or to signal in another way. But you can say, can you take more? When you're talking about fingers, you don't have to say, can I put another finger up? You can be sexy and say, like, can you take some more? Can I push a little bit harder, or, something, if you're in that like power play. But I need to know. So we've got lube, and I agree with the 1 finger thing, because I thought I was needing to like push to get to 2, like that was like the ultimate, but then I was told like, no, 1 is perfectly fine, because we were going for the prostate stimulation. Do you think I'm sure people do, but what is like I learned quite quickly that the in and out is maybe not the best thing, the in and out with the fingers, and rather like the come hither. So I don't know, what are the techniques we can play around with our fingers?
So again, that will fully depend on the person. I slept with a guy recently, actually, who was very, very good in bed, but when it came to fingering, he was quite aggressive, and it, like, that's obviously just what he's used to doing, and he's had
Yeah.
positive responses to that before. But I simply just said, do you mind, like, when you're doing that, can you be a bit gentler? And we spoke about it like on text after. He's like, I really appreciate you communicating that, and I was like, of course. But he was very much doing I'm like, it's not the same as a penis, because
Yes.
although a penis is hard, it doesn't have any bone in it. It doesn't
Yes.
have nails. It doesn't have knuckles. Like, it doesn't have, like, a knuckle
Yes.
at the fucking end of it that is slamming into your asshole. So when someone is doing that, it can actually be quite uncomfortable. You can't. So, like, my go-to is, rather than doing that, is to kind of go in and, like, twist and
Yes,
then
yeah.
come hither and come out and kind of do it like that, because then you're getting both, but it's not like aggressive. But that again is personal preference. Like for me, I don't personally enjoy it if a guy is doing that. Like when you fuck me, go ahead, because yes, a penis is
Yeah.
hard, but it's not as hard as your hands. But when it comes to fingering, like for me, it is, that's the the slower sensual bit where you're trying to like stretch me out a bit. You're trying to stimulate my prostate. Like you can look me in the eye, you can kiss me. It's like fingering to me is quite romantic. So again, I think that's just about communicating it with your partner and just saying, you know, you can just go, you know, how does that feel? Do you want it harder? Like it's communication is sexy, and it like it's I get why people maybe feel uncomfortable about it, but it can make your sex experience 10 times better when you're on the same page.
Yeah, absolutely. And another thing is to what I wish more people spoke about is like trying it on yourself alone, solo first is always just like the way to go before. I mean, exploring with a partner is also really cool and really sexy and can have this added element of like, we're doing this together. That's really intimate. But I think sometimes with something like this, it's like, just have a go by yourself first and explore all these things so that when you does come to being with a partner, you can say, listen, I've tried that in and out and it's just not for me. So let's like rather play with other ways instead of that before you go into it so you don't break the mood.
I mean, that's as you can tell, I'm a big fan of Sex Education, the show. But that was another storyline with Amy, where she basically said, like, oh, my boyfriend's I'm not able to come. And then Otis said to her, like, have you tried playing with yourself and figuring out what you liked? And then there was this whole, music cutting shot to shot where she's spending hours masturbating and figuring out what she likes. And then it cuts back to her with her boyfriend. And I can't remember the specific thing, but she said, right, I need you to do this, and this. Go.
Yes.
And like it's because she spent the time figuring out what really works for her, which then means that you can tell your partner what works for you. If I don't know what I like, how is someone else going to figure out what I like?
Yeah, exactly. It's like butt stuff is the same with how we recommend masturbation before and like solo pleasure to still prioritize that, to still explore. Butt stuff is no different. Like, and also maybe because there's that added like psychological layer of shame about playing with the butt that a lot of us have, no matter your sexuality, your gender. Sometimes there's just like, it's more taboo than normal masturbation, in air quotes. So doing it by yourself first, you get to like kind of jump over that shame barrier that might otherwise be really confronting when you're with your partner. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. And like, I'm at the point now where I enjoy like butt play masturbation more than normal masturbation. Like I tend to like masturbate to come, like if I just want to stop being horny. Like that is where I'm at, because I'm like, of course it feels nice, but that's just kind of like I need to get on with my day and I need to stop thinking about arse. Like I'm gonna have a wank.
Maintenance. It's
purely maintenance. Like I cannot concentrate because I want to have sex, so I just need to come so I can work. But if I want to like actually enjoy it, then I will like have a little douche and I'll play with my butt.
Yeah, exactly. Amazing. Thank you. What is your takeaway tip? I know there are so many, but just off the top of your head, takeaway tip.
Just try it. Like, just try it. Like, do not let the, like, taboo or stigma hold you back, because it may not be for you. And that is fine. Like, I've got friends who are, you know, there's plenty of gay men who are known as aside, which is where they don't actually enjoy penetration at all. But there's also, I've got friends who are girls who enjoy fingering like a guy's ass, eating a guy's ass, pegging. You never know. You may enjoy it, you may not, but you won't know unless you try it.
Absolutely. And even if you do feel that shame, you can always play with that shame and like actually use that to turn you on and be like, this is supposed to make me feel really bad about myself, but I'm actually getting off on that and reclaiming this part of my body type of thing. Yeah.
Well, that's what some people say about like that stuff. They say that the fact that you're kind of not meant to be doing it makes it even like hotter.
Yeah, that's me 100%. There was so much taboo and like whispers about it, and then when I started playing with it, I was like, is it even the fact that it's my ass, or is it because like, is it my body that feels this good, or is it like in my brain being like, fuck you society, I'm gonna get pleasure from this part of my body no matter what you say. So yeah.
I'd have to admit, like, I think that happens to me sometimes. Like I'll be playing, like, 'cause in my bedroom I've got like a double mirrored wardrobe at the end of my bed, which is amazing. So I like position myself so I can actually watch it like going in, and like I'd say like 90% of it is the feeling, but then 10% of my mind is being like, I'm literally just like playing with my arse right now.
Yeah.
Like this is like, there are so many people who'd be like grossed out by this, even though there's nothing wrong with it. Like I love the fact that I have, like, I'm just happy to do this and I'm letting myself have this pleasure and I can like watch it happening.
Yeah, that's hot, you know. Reclamation is hot. and being like enjoying your body for what it is. Liberation. I feel liberated playing with my ass. So
If someone
yeah.
told me like 5 years ago that this would be my job, like
Same.
I was working in a call center selling holidays to the elderly 5 years ago, and now I'm in a podcast talking about sticking your tongue in an asshole. This is
Yes. Amazing. That's wow. Hashtag role models, goals.
growth
It
arc.
really is. I'm really happy
really is.
for both of us. But Max, thank you so much for coming on to So You Want to Try. Where can people follow you to go and watch that reel you were talking about and learn more about butt stuff, mental health, self-love?
Thank you so much for having me. So you can follow me on Instagram at max_Hovey. You can follow me on TikTok at maxhovey. They're the only socials I'm on. And then if you go to my link tree, you can find my Twitter X. I'm refusing to call it X. Twitter account, which will actually lead you to demonstrations of why I enjoy butt stuff so much.
There we go. Thank you. Thank you,
Thank you
so much. Yay! You can find Sensuali on Instagram and other social media platforms by typing in @sensuali_official or looking for the links in this episode's description. Feel free to DM us there with what you're wanting to try next. See you next time.